Hi. In this video, I will demonstrate each feature that NexusMax offers. I will walk through every section of NexusMax AI for Web and explain how to handle datasets, machine learning models, and even user profiles, and how these features can be accessed with ease. I will start with various options from user point of view, and later I will also explain how as an administrator I can manage the user's details. To start with, as you log into NexusMax for Web, on opening page you can see various tools in the menu. Firstly, in Projects, I have option to either create a new project or use an existing project created earlier. On the right side of the page, as I click here, I can modify the grid view to table view. In either of the views, I can perform same actions. For instance, I will click on the plus sign to create a new project called Loan Eligibility. The objective of the project is store model that will predict if a customer is eligible for loan or not. On clicking Save, you can see that the newly created project has also been listed, and the projects are sorted with respect to dates. Further, with clicking Actions, there are many activities that I can execute on my existing projects, such as cloning. With this option, I can copy all the pipelines of the project in the same user. Here you can see my loan eligibility project has been copied. Next, I can even edit the tags of the project, giving new key name and value. And I can also rename the existing project. Here I am renaming my copy of Loan Eligibility to Customer Loan Eligibility. Further, I can change the environment of the project with Compute Environment. Here I can check or uncheck each stage of an environment, and save the updated environment or cancel the changes. Further, on choosing Share, I can either share the projects to an individual user or with a group of users. And the final option I have is deleting a project. Here, as you can see, I deleted the copy of Loan Eligibility project. Going back to the grid view, as you can see, the same actions are available as I hover here. I can even search the project by its name. For instance, I will type retail to list all the project with the name retail. Moving on to the next feature of my projects. On selecting a project, I am introduced to all the items inside a project. Currently, here you can see all the existing data catalogs and pipelines that have been created earlier. To create a new pipeline, I will click on plus sign, that is Add New Resources, with which I can add my work to my project. Here you can see various resources offered by NexusMax listed. To start with, there are options to create pipelines for each machine learning models from regression to recommendation model. On clicking on any of these 5 resources, NexusMax creates a pipeline adding default widgets. A classification pipeline has been created and demonstrated in my earlier videos. To explain details of an AutoML model training pipeline, I will create a new classification model and give a name, Customer Churn Retail. Here, as I select the pipeline, I am taken to the next page, and as part of AutoML process, NexusMax creates a default pipeline. As you can see, various stages are connected in the canvas. The first stage, which is the sourcing stage, is used to retrieve the data from a source. By default, for an AutoML pipeline, NexusMax chooses Hadoop file system. However, as you click Sources in the ribbon, you can see various sourcing options that NexusMax offers. You can upload the file either from Amazon S3, Azure Blob Storage, local files from your system, data catalog stored in NexusMax, SQL Server, or any other source where the files are located. In the next section, that is the data transformations, I have tools that could be used to apply various functions to my data, such as aggregation to apply function to an individual feature, or even data preparation to add various functions to single feature or multiple features. I can even filter the required variables of my data, or even apply specific formula to a variable. Applying these features would transform a raw historical data to a more customized dataset. Further in feature transformations, I have options to transform each feature to optimize the model. Here, I have AutoFE where NexusMax applies default feature engineering functions to the dataset. I also have FE customized for a time series dataset. Further on, switching to the Manual tab, there are individual feature engineering processes that I could apply as per my requirement. For the next option, to build a machine learning model, I have options to choose appropriate models under ML engines. For an AutoML pipeline, NexusMax by default chooses a relevant model while creating a pipeline. However, the models are divided into Auto and Manual. Under Auto tab, we have options to choose one of the types of machine learning models based on our prediction requirement. And if I switch to the Manual tab, you can see NexusMax provides various models for each category of machine learning. I will have options to choose any one of the models as per my requirement. For the final feature of model training, if I have to store a transformed data or if there is a requirement to copy the data from source to another, I can use any of the sources under sinks and connect my transformed data to the sink. Once the required stages are selected, dragged, dropped, and connected in sequence, I will configure the stages. Before configuring, I have an option to explore the data. For this, I will first source the data from my local system and click on Explore. I am then taken to the next page where a sample data is displayed, where I can view all the variables and records of the sample record. And in the next Summary tab, I can analyze my data or perform a statistical analysis. There is also Prediction Power Score tab to analyze PPS score of my data. For a trained model, there are other features as well, for which I will go back to my trained model. Here, I will have options to predict a future target for which I can once again choose the file from either my local store or from other locations. And I can also choose the type of prediction, that is real-time prediction or interactive prediction, to get predictions of a customized record. Further, I have option to even deploy the model with which I can later download a Docker image of the model or source of the model to a Jupyter notebook that contains Python program of the source code. And finally, I can interpret the performance of the code using Interpret, where once again an individual record could be interpreted or the entire dataset using global interpretation could be interpreted too. The model performance can also be visualized using Model Drift. And we can also add comments to the model using the comment option. The rest of the pipelines listed are manual pipelines. In case if I want to create a customized models, I have option of Manual ML pipeline where I can connect stages of my interest to build a model that would seem to be more appropriate for my work. Next is the data pipeline, which could be used in case I want to analyze or transform the data. Similar to model pipeline, I will once again drag and drop all the required stages that is helpful to transform to refine my dataset to create a more efficient model. And finally, the prediction pipeline. I will use this when there is a requirement to predict future data using the existing model, built with the help of AutoML or Manual ML pipelines. Next, I can even organize or store my resources within a project by creating a folder using Folder option. Further, I can even add a file within a project. And as you click on Notes, you can create your own notes, giving a title and content. And lastly, you can add a web URL to your project, providing URL details and shortcut name. Going back to my existing resources, similar to projects, I can once again toggle between table view and grid view. I can once again perform the same activities in either of the views, such as cloning and editing tags. Additionally, I can even move my pipeline to a different project on clicking Move. Further, I can rename, share, and delete the pipelines too. I can even create resources from this view on clicking on plus sign. And there is search bar too to look up for any resources. Going back to the grid view, you can once again see that I can perform the actions on my pipeline, such as editing tags, moving the resource, or even deleting the pipeline. I will now move to the next feature, which is the data catalog. Here, all data-related details of data will be stored. On clicking New Data Catalog in a project, I am given option to choose a project. I will then give a name to my pipeline, transform the customer's dataset. And on clicking Create, I am taken next to the new data pipeline. As you can see, a new data pipeline is created and the same can be accessed from my project. Moving on to the next feature is Models. In this page, you can view each model of each project, and any model when trained will be recorded in this section. Firstly, you can download the details of the machine learning model to an Excel file on clicking this icon. Then, there is an action menu wherein you can share the entire pipeline details to either a single user or group of users, add comments, or even delete the pipeline. Further, on clicking the drop-down menu, I can view the details of the models, such as type of machine learning model, stage, time of creation, number of records in the data, model performance metrics, and if the model has been deployed or not. The other model-specific actions I can perform are editing tags. I can even view hyperparameters of the model. Further, I can publish the models and even deploy them. And there is an option to view real-time scoring, and next, on clicking Generate Docker Image, I can download the Docker image or export to an online repository. There are various other job activities that I can perform. For instance, I can schedule a job at my convenient time. And those jobs can be viewed later on too. Further, with View Code, I can view the backend code from a Jupyter notebook. And this gives an opportunity to the users to analyze the code written in Python programming language. And lastly, I can even view related pipelines and also delete each version of the models that I created on clicking Delete Pipeline Version. There are also options to search for the model pipelines and sort the models by either project name, pipeline, or even by type of project. I can also create model from this page on clicking the plus sign. To create the model, I will once again choose the project where I want to create the model, enter the pipeline name and click Create. Next, similar to Data Catalog and Model Catalog, I have Catalog for predictions too. Here, I can create a prediction pipeline and view the same in the related project. For instance, I will create a new prediction pipeline in my Retain Churn project to predict the churn of my current customers. You can see, a new prediction pipeline is now created. And next, if a job is scheduled, I can view the scheduled job on clicking Jobs. I can also view the jobs that have been completed earlier too. For the next feature, I can view the environments in which each model is wrapped in. I can also download the details of the environment on clicking the Excel icon. And to change the environment stages of the projects, I will click on the drop-down menu and select options of the related project. Further, I will check or uncheck the stages that are required. Lastly, as discussed earlier, I will show the features provided by NexusMax AI for Web from administrator point of view. On clicking Administration, I will have options to control the profiles of the users. And, under the actions, I can either add additional users, remove existing users, or delete all the users in my profile. Further, on clicking the plus sign, I can create a new user and fill required credentials. Going back to the administrator role with user details. In the next option, each user detail can be modified. For instance, with the user profile of Jesse, I can copy the sample projects to a different user. Also edit user detail name. Since Jesse is an account of mine, I can reset the password. And, if required, I can even delete the user to restrict from using any services of NexusMax AI. Next, in the Resource Master, I can manage each type of the resource, which are NexusMax Hadoop File System, Git, and Jupyter Notebook. I can either edit each resource or delete the resource from the account. And I can even add a resource as per my requirement. Lastly, any issue while building or executing a pipeline will be notified first on the screen. And on clicking the bell icon, the related details of the issues which are recorded will be listed. In this section, I can view the tracebacks to identify the origin of the issue. And if required, download the tracebacks to an Excel. Further, on clicking the profile icon, there is once again an option to update the details of user profiles, refer the recycle bin, and finally log out from the session. To summarize, today I walked through all the features and components of NexusMax AI for web. For any further queries, you can reach us out here. Thank you for watching.